How you doing? It's Al Achad. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like using the word Akkad or the term Akkad, you can just say one. You can say Al one or Alex one because Akkad is one, and you know what I'm saying, the whole Aramaic Hebrew thing. But how are you today? You know what I'm saying? I got to make sure I keep showing my face on this public YouTube channel, Wholography. You know what I'm saying? Where we deal with the whole thing, not just sections or parts. We study the whole thing, whatever the thing is. It's the whole, not just the parts, the sections, the fragments, or the broken pieces. We put it all together, fam. So what's going on? We're going to jump right into it. Choice. You chose this. If you're watching this, you chose to watch it. I didn't force you to watch it. I didn't make you watch it. I didn't put a, say a firearm to your temple and say, hey, you need to watch my video. Never done that. Now, can that happen? Sure. But even at that moment that a firearm is up at your temple, you still could choose not to watch. You know what I'm saying? Because people gamble like that. They gamble. That's a gamble. Because you can psychologically trick somebody into not shooting you. It doesn't always work, but if you ain't afraid to lose your life, you know what I'm saying, or get shot, your dome piece, you know what I mean? You kind of got to psych out the person with the firearm to your head because that person may not be about that life. They're just trying to frighten you. You know what I'm saying? So it worked. It's strategy. You just got to depend on it's the circumstance. But you even choose your circumstances, don't you? Don't you? You choose all of this. And today I'm going to go in on it. I may have touched on this on previous videos. If you subscribe to my Patreon, I go into extensive lengths but about these subjects. But I want to talk to you if you choose to listen. It's your choice about choice itself. You know what I'm saying? You can choose to buy the book, Holography. I'm the author of this book here. It came out last year around March. You can choose to buy that. You can choose not to. There's a lot of people that see these advertisements each time I put videos up, and they still haven't purchased the book. That's by choice. You know what I'm saying? I can choose to be upset about it. I can choose to have a salty taste in my mouth about it, or I can choose to let it go. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's not for you at this time. You know what I'm saying? You're under no obligation. Even if I say you're obligated to buy my book, you're still make a choice that you're not going to actually purchase it. Now, we deal with the etymology of a lot of this stuff. So let me shrink my face and explode this screen here where we have a Wiktionary entry for the word choice. I love when they put the alternative obsolete forms of a word. You know what I'm saying? It was spelled with an S. It was spelled with a YS at a certain point in time. Words evolve as we come into new different ways to say things. You know what I'm saying? So with this whole etymology here is really just another version of saying choose. So we're going to click on choose, right? It's going to take us to this root word choose, right? Not you choose on, you know what I'm saying, you're chewing on some gum or something like that. It's choose, where you make a selection, you make a picking. Out of all your options, you choose this. You know what I'm saying? Just like right now, you could be doing something else with your time, but you're choosing by your own accord, by your own will, to watch this, right? So it really comes down to this Proto-Indo-European word, gusetti or giusetti, which means to taste, to try. Now, this is important to my discussion about tasting and trying because now it gets into the realm of preference. Preference. So let's look at preference. Let's preface this discussion with preference. What you prefer. You prefer to watch this. You know what I'm saying? This is what you prefer. It's your preference. It's what you prefer. It's what you are going to choose over everything else, right? And we go to prefer, which the etymology takes us to preferaro. We're going through the choices that we can select, right? There's so many things on the screen to click. I chose to click that, right? So it kind of breaks down to prae pharaoh, which means before, in front, I carry, I bear. I carry before, I bear in front. So at the start of things, I bear, hold, and carry, or forth, I place or set before. A preset, right? This is important to this today's discussion because you have to. I ain't gonna say you have to. It's your choice, right? If you would understand that your whole circumstance at this point in time, your circumstances a year ago, your circumstances a decade ago, your circumstances well into your childhood before you even was born, and then tomorrow, a year from now, a decade from now, up until you transition up out of here, out of this physical, it was all a choosing. It was a preset design that you chose before you incarnated here. This understanding changes everything you think you know about reality, the world, mind, people. You know what I'm saying? The things that happen. What if you now understand that you chose every fucking single thing that happens? But some part of you also chose to be oblivious or unaware of it or amnesiac to the choice, meaning that you forgot you made it. You can choose to forget that you made a choice. Good Arabica, or how you say it, Arabica coffee. It's gonna wake me up today because that's what I choose. This is the flavor. This is the preset that I you know what I'm saying, that I this is what I my taste. Because you don't have to drink coffee. You can drink tea. You ain't gotta drink none. You have a dry mouth while you're speaking to people. It's your choice, right? Now, if you decided this stuff, if you set this before things actually happen physically, right? Who's responsible for the way your life turns out, the way it evolves? Because evolve literally means turn out. Evolve meaning turn. E is a prefix for out. How your life evolved, how your life turned out, right? Right? Who's ultimately responsible for the way it turns out? Who do you put that on? Who's responsible? Who do you blame? Because I see a lot of this this population of people, doesn't matter their ethnicity, their geographical location, their gender, their political affiliation, none of that matters when it gets down to who they blame or what they put this uh uh preference on, like who made this, who made this decision. Because this is part of the kernel work that I keep talking about. The start, the point of existential origin. Why did you choose to come to Earth to be a human being or to parade around as a human being? Because people avoid this understanding. I put this in front of people that are supposedly woke or conscious or, you know what I'm saying, spiritually attuned, and they never can really wrap their mind around because they think it's something else that causes them to be what they are and who they are. There's still a attachment to the blame of their parents or their circumstance or white people or the government or Illuminati and all that stuff, these buzzwords that I'm pretty sure that this YouTube algorithm has already picked up on. Who is to blame? Whose choice it was for you to come here, and why? Because a person like me has now understood that it was always my choice to be whatever it is I am currently, and whatever it is I was, and whatever it is I will be in, future if we're dealing with time. So going back to choosing or choice, right? This is important that they put this here, to taste, to try. So when I look at the decision you made, I'm looking at how this was your taste for things. You prefer this over other options. So the title of this discussion is willful compliance. Y'all chose slavery. So when I see compliance, that's by choice. No one's making you comply to anything. Now, what spurred this whole discussion on is me just having the thought about, you know, credit. Something like that, like your credit score, your credit rating, like Transamerica, Experian. What's the other one? It's not even that important. It's like three major credit rating bureaus, I guess, and they decide your worthiness within this society, like your by your credit rating. I even seen like some sort of news report on if you go to China, they have an even more um, in-depth rating of your social value. All they gotta do is put your number or your some sort of biometric, like your fingerprints or your eye scanning or something like that. They put into a computer and it brings up a whole profile and it has a score attached to it. So all the crime you commit, if you commit any, all the money you bought, all the things you do in society rounds up to this score. So they evaluate you based on this score. So I would say that the more compliant you are as a citizen over there in China, what I'm saying, I guess metropolitan or civilized China, the higher your score is. And the lower your score is if you're displaying any acts of non-compliance, if you're rebellious, what I'm saying, you don't pay your taxes or you don't pay your rent on time, whatever, anything to knock down your score. So the lower your score, the less likely you are to be able to access the benefits of that society you live in. So when you look at your credit score, that is also kind of in that same realm of we're not going to give you access to credit or credit lines or any type of loans or anything that would boost you up in society because we think you're not going to pay the money back. The point of this discussion is all about why did you comply to be a part of that rating system? Why are you in a society where this is how they evaluate you as a individual or entity within the society in which you live? And then on top of that, you actually care about your credit score. You care about you having a low credit. You're doing like some of y'all are doing credit repair. You're going to a credit repair specialist. You have people that choose to sit out here and do credit repair. This is a willful choice on your end to up this score. And like I said, if you compare it to China's social scoring, it's really the same type of thing. And perhaps we have already moved towards that rating of people or individuals, under the radar. So, like for example, when you apply for a job, you apply for a bank loan, you apply for a loan to get a house, right? They have to factor in a score based on your previous history, your ethnicity. That's all. They always ask you if you're Black American or if you're Pacific Islander or if you're Latino, not Latino. Like this goes all into your score, right? And I'm pretty sure that if you are a so-called white person, your score is always going to be boosted by the fact that you're just, who you are, right? This is a system of control because it grants privileges and access to benefits based on how well you scored. So if you don't score high in this shit, you're not going to get access to certain things. Therefore, it keeps you subjugated to lower brackets of the tax bracket, right? Or the tax thing, the tax hierarchy, or your economic hierarchy, right? So in a capitalistic system like the United States of America, this corporation, you have to score high. right? Now, there's always ways around it. There's always some sort of exception to the rule, but generally, for most of the population, this is something that keeps you subjugated. And then you can say a whole group of people usually have a low credit score. For example, you look at the color of my skin and the way I talk and the way I look, I'm pretty sure that I'm a part of a already statistical group of people that have a low credit score. You see what I'm saying? So there's already a social control, a digital social control placed on you. Why did you comply with it? At whatever level you chose to comply to it. Like, for example, you're just a person that's just in this society, so everybody has a credit score. Then you get to a next level where you kind of care about your credit score a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to build your credit, and then even deeper into it, more depthically, you're actively choosing to up your credit score. Like you're getting certain credit cards, and you're going to certain people to get your credit repaired and all that stuff. Why did you choose to be a human who is evaluated by this system? That is my question to you. Whose fault is it that you are subjugated to such a social control, an engineering of sorts? Whose choice? I put up a post on my Instagram as I always do, and the post was, talking about how a lot of people complain, but they're not upset enough to upset the established order in which they find themselves complaining about. So your complaint is only up to the point where you just want to voice what your grievances, but you don't want to really actually go through any changes of any sort. So you're just whining and crying and complaining, but nothing changes. And you're going to do that, you know, throughout the cycles of your life, right? And then jump on any bandwagon that does go for some sort of change of some sort of structure in this society, right? That's a choice as well. Like you chose to be a slave, but you chose to complain about your slavery, but you never chose to actually get from out of the chains of slavery. So imagine you in chains right now, like physical metal chains around your feet and ankles and maybe around your neck, right? You're complaining to other slaves, maybe even to the slave master. You're complaining that you have these chains on you, but you never take any action to take them off or to break them. You do nothing of the sort. So I'm pointing this out because there's levels to this whole choice thing that perhaps a lot of people choose to forget about or they choose not to see it. So if you're somebody out there that wants to wake up other people, or you want to get them to be vegan, you want to get them to go out and vote, and all this stuff that a lot of this social justice thing out here is doing, right? What success will you have if no one around you chose to actually participate in those things? So then you get on social media and complain about other people, but you're not really making a difference by you complaining. So I sit back as, just an observer and be like, oh, you're still a slave just like the rest of everybody out here. You want to be vocal about your slavery. Like you're not actually taking proactive measures to actually get yourself out. And that's a lot of people. And because of, social media platforms like the one I'm using now, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and all this stuff, especially Twitter. Twitter has seemed to be the most politicized social platform that exists right now. You see a lot of that. And for a person that's naive, like I once was, maybe like 10 years ago, where I fed into people talking about how they are fed up with certain things. Like they're fed up with racism, they're fed up with capitalism, they're fed up with consumerism, all the isms. They're fed up with all the isms, right? They're fed up with being subjugated and disenfranchised. They're voicing these complaints. But when you actually give a call to action where you're like, okay, let's go do something about it, man. Let's go do something about it, woman. Let's go do something about it, fam. Let's go do something about it, community. They don't jump on. That's like being in the plantation where you hear them complaining about picking cotton or complaining about, eating the viscera of the pig, chitlins for those that don't know. Or they complain about how they don't get a break from sun up to sundown. Okay, I'm hearing the complaints. So let's do something about it. They never jump on. They're only there to voice their grievances, but never do anything about the grievances. This is a lot of people on social media. So now you're seeing slaves given the platform to speak about their slavery, but never do anything to get from underneath the slavery. And I'll admit, back then when I was trying to be like a community organizer, you know what I'm saying? It kind of broke me a little bit because I'm like, well, damn, I thought y'all niggas wanted to be free. So when you put them to the test, they fail. It's just lip service. Or in the context of social media, it's just thumb service. You look like a revolutionary. You act like you want to be, liberated, but you don't really because you didn't choose that. You didn't choose to break free. You chose to be right where the hell you at. You chose to be right where the hell you at. So you can mouth off and thumb and type up who you think is oppressing you or who you think is the cause of the reason why society or the world is fucked up. But at the end of the day, deal with the personal decision. You chose to be in this. You ever been around someone that complains about a significant other or a lover that they have or someone they live, a significant other? Like they complain about this nigga or they complain about this bitch all day, but will never break free. So it's less about what you're saying and more about what's actually happening. So my fullest decision, like just me being a fool out there a decade ago of listening to lip service and believing what people are saying out of their mouths and typing on their page or them making the video on it. I know better now. All you did was give the slave or the peon or the debt, I'm just thinking of different synonyms for slave. You gave these people just a soapbox or a platform to speak their mind, but never to actually get free. Right? Because going back what I said about credit score, like that's a system that subjugates you and evaluates you based on a capitalistic system, right? Like your means to gain capital, your means to gain some sort of money or funds to actually get your project off the ground or buy this house or fund your education into one of these institutions for academia, right? You can be done with that. You have the choice to actually be like, no, I'm not going to participate in your social system. But I don't see anybody really trying to break free. I see people breaking free, but not the people who complain. I don't see them breaking free. Now, if we take let's look at when it comes to social justice and consciousness and woke stuff out here today. Again, you would think that people are on your side. You would think that they're trying to be liberated and free and exonerated and, trying to form their own thing or their own, or, their own nation or something like that. Even with nation building, I was into that for such a while. You would think that people would want to do that, but they're not really. They're not. Which is the subtitle of this video. Y'all chose slavery. See, perhaps I didn't know at the time, like a decade ago, what there's different types of slaves. There's not one type of slave or one type of peon. It's not one type. There's several types. There's several types. Mm-hmm. And I'm not just talking about, slavery in the sense of white people, black people in America. I'm talking about you're complying with a regulation that subjugates you. Hell, it could even get metaphysical where we're talking about the physical world being a prison all in itself and you choosing to be human and remaining in your human state. That's a form of slavery. Yes, it is. Don't deny it. It is. Especially on the esoteric occult side of things, you look at it that way. Yeah, that's slavery. Because that's where it starts. It starts in the mind, doesn't it not? It starts mentally. So you're a mental slave before you're physically one, or politically, or in a sense of government. Because they can put all these regulations and policies in place, but you have to be the one to actually comply with it. You can put all this bullshit on paper. You can put it on the fanciest, the paper that they put degrees on, like you got your little bachelor's degree. They put it on this fancy parchment. You know what I'm saying? There's actually a website called parchment.com where I got, you can get your digital degree or certificate from there. But you have to comply with that. So without your compliance, there is no subjugation. There is no slavery for you. Now, that's not going to stop somebody to try to enforce that on you. For example, I'm not saying that just because you say, oh, I'm going to, break free of that. Like there isn't some mechanism in place to try to get you to get back into it. Like the threat on your life, the threat to put you in some prison somewhere. There's a lot of political prisoners. You know what I'm saying? So not to say that that isn't a risk, but what I'm saying is, if you're afraid of that, that is still your choice to be afraid. That's the point. You're choosing fear. You choose to fear the possible consequences of your action. So willful compliance, for example, going back to you willfully wanting to stay in your human state. That's a choice. Who are you blaming for you choosing to do human things throughout the rest of your life? When you always had the decision to do something that's, so-called spiritual or more esoteric or more occult. Who's stopping you? Like when I talk about discipline and doing disciplinary actions in a weekly regimen that I do, people would try to give me an excuse as to why they can't do it. There's motherfuckers that think they could do what I do, and all I gave them was a small dietary decision. Don't eat carbs. Lower your carb content or intake. Couldn't even do it. Have no willpower to do it because that's not what they prefer. See, I prefer to be disciplined. That's a preference for me. That's why I don't waste my time nowadays, trying to get you to be disciplined or you to take on this dietary regimen that I'm on. There's no point. Because I know if you're going to be sit here attracted to what I'm saying, then I'll consider passing on some jewels and some disciplinary actions you can take. Otherwise, why would I sit here and be on some soapbox trying to get you to be disciplined? It's a waste of my time and effort. It's a waste of my time and effort. Yes, it is. It is. I'm around people all the time and they see how disciplined I am. They make note of it. They see it. But it's not me telling them, oh, you got to eat this way. You should stop eating that. You should do this at this. No, I'm not your God. I'm not your master. I'm no one's slave and I'm no one's master. I may be your teacher, your guide, not your master. And that's by decision. If this is what we set up, like I'm your master, you're my apprentice or slave or whatever, that's contractual. It's consensual. You have to choose to be in that position. I have to choose to be in my position for that to work. Because the moment you decide not to be a slave, then you start making certain decisions to make sure that your decisions and your actions line up with that principle. So there are people who are subliminally there on they think that they're not slaved or enslaved. They think that they're not being subjugated. And that's a mechanism to get them to, bypass or disregard or ignore the fact that they are. And they're all on social media giving you their opinions all day, every day. The problem is choice. I hate having to use the matrix for this stuff, but it's not getting into the machine part. Let's just dealing with the principle of just choice before we get into a computer generated dream world or niggas doing the whole matrix thing. Before we even get into red pill and blue pill, we're getting into problem is choice. I think this scene with the architect is the most important part of this whole Matrix movie trilogy. It's the most pivotal. Advanced English vernacular that you may not understand. You probably have to look up some of the words or go in the dictionary. However, he gives Neo the actual factual. At a mere subconscious level, everybody chose to be or out of the Matrix. It's all choice, preference. So think about if you choose to be in the physical, right? You're choosing to be human and experience humanity. You must have somewhere in you a preference to experience it and everything that comes with it. Everything that comes with your version of the humanity you chose. Now, this is a hard pill, get it? Hard pill to swallow because it helps you, even if you see it as a brutality to you, it helps you understand your choice you made. Because now you have to go back through all the events of your life and realize that no matter how fucked up that situation was, or messed up, or how tragic it was, you chose to experience it. Point blank period. You chose to be a part of this. Because right now you're probably still blaming other people or systems or governments or whoever or history. Saying you're blaming slave masters from Europe, or even they this whole thing about Ghana, participating in the slave. You're blaming Ghana. Some of y'all that's more advanced to this stuff. You're blaming these entities for your decision to experience the shit that you experienced. How do I blame the slave master when I came here to experience slavery? Because if why choose slavery? Why couldn't you choose something else? Are you saying you had no choice in the matter of you being on a plantation picking cotton? You're saying you didn't have a choice there? How so? Because a lot of people don't want to face this part of themselves that actually made the decision to be a part of these events. Because they make the choice to say, I'm going to be victim and blame some perpetrator. That's a choice. People choose that every day. They choose that more than what I've chosen, which is to be the victor in the situation, not the victim. So I have a victor mentality rather than a victim mentality where I choose the ultimate responsibility in order to, by the end of this lifetime, claim all that happened to me as of my own decision for me to solve it, for me to be the problem solver of those issues. Most people around you are still blaming something outside of themselves for the reason of their situation right now. Or you got people who love to vote or they think voting makes a difference. They say, well, people don't be voting. That's why the things are the way they are. No, that's not the true cause of anything. That's an illusion. Just like the Merovingian and the shit. Choice is an illusion between those who have power and those who do not. But I don't even fully agree with that because you still get to decide if you're going to be under subjugation or not. That's a choice of yours. You're just sitting here trying to explain to me, who you don't need to explain to me. I already know what's going on, but you're trying to convince everybody else that you're the victim in the situation and you had no choice to do something else, which is false. It proves to be false. The problem is choice, fella, sister. Yeah, I know I've talked about this stuff in previous videos. You need a reminder. You may need a refresher. I ain't gonna say you need it. I'm gonna say that you could benefit from this being, reiterated in different ways in different times. And you know what I'm saying? Repetition. You know what I mean? The problem is choice. But like I said, a lot of people don't want to come to the realization that they preferred what they chose. You wanted to experience being subjugated. You wanted to sleep in the matrix. That's what you wanted to do. It's proven just by the way you're act, like the way you act, the things you say, the people you're involved with, the systems that you go along with, you comply with. It goes back to being able to read. Read thyself, and thou shalt know the literature of the gods, whoever the gods are, or whatever the gods are. But just even being able to read other people, not just reading your body language or the things you're saying out your mouth or what you're typing. You have to read a person's life. I factor that in. Like, for example, you chose to be born to parents that are in the military rather than parents that, would never sign up for the military. Why would you choose a militaristic family where they got to travel from here? Like, they're never stable. They go to this fort in this country. You know what I'm saying? There's no stable place for you to be. You chose that. You chose that human experience, that human timeline. How could you complain and the complaining being valid? Where's the validity to your complaint of what happened during that timeline when you chose it? If you're a willful student, you chose to sit here and listen to whatever the hell I'm saying, it was saying, and will be saying in future time. I would think that, or I would like to assume that you want to, because of the nature of the knowledge that I deal with, you'd want to be free, and not just free in a political sense or in a governmental sense, but in a mental sense, a spiritual sense. Because there's people on this earth that will never see what the hell they will never come cross paths with me. Just by what they chose before they even got here into the physical, they will never cross paths with a god like me. Right here in this ethnicity you call black or Moorish or whatever you want to call it, there we will never cross paths. They will never know my name. We will never meet. We will never see each other in public. We will never probably even see each other on social media. All because of a choice they made prior to being even born. See, this is kernel work I'm talking about. Now we're going back to the source to actually make a decision. What decision did we make? The problem is choice. Here, I'll put up another one where it's like, the wording is switched around because perhaps the wording of the previous image, it didn't resonate. So here we go. Choice is the problem. But going back to this definition where they put to taste to try, going back to this Proto-Indo-European root, perhaps you being in this matrix is your choice, just like this architect Sigmund Freud looking ass nigga said. You know what I'm saying? He said at a subconscious level, you make a decision to be a part of this or you don't. So what if this is what it was going on? Is people that are beings or entities that are running away from or are trying to, you know, on the subliminal level of their mind, they're separating themselves from the decision they made. It's like that movie Angel Heart with Robert De Niro and Mickey Rourke. Spoiler alert. Hey, you decided to watch this. There could be spoilers in these videos, right? You decided to watch. So, spoiler alert, in that movie, this nigga forgot that he made a deal with the devil. So he went on this whole journey of amnesia and forgot that he made a deal or he skipped out on a deal with the devil. So now the devil is pretty much trying to, you know, make sure the deal has been, dealt or done. You know what I'm saying? He said he tapped his daughter. Oh yeah, we hold on. I remember Lisa Bonet is in the movie. So are you talking about her? You might be talking about her. But that's besides the point. The point is you come into this light, this human, existence and forget that you chose to be in it. Not just being a human, but also your route through this humanity. You chose that route. You're on the ride. No one made you get on the roller coaster. You wanted to go for a hell of a ride. So enjoy the hell of the ride. You know what I'm saying? You're on the hell of the ride. You're this is what's a part of it. So when I talk about kernel work, it's all about going back to the seed of this existence where you made the choice to be on this ride. Why? Because in that kernel, you crack it open and you find the telos, the purpose of things, the purpose of why you're here or why you exist. And your purpose, what you're striving for to be here. Because it ain't always noble. It ain't always, high and mighty. You be hearing some bullshit. You just want to be here to be a hater. That's your goal here is just to hate and criticize everything. Like that's your reason for existing. You're just or for your human incarnation at this time is just to be a hater, to be a miserable, melancholy, down in the dumps, complaining ass hater. People choose that. But why? Because I like to quest in the word like the word question. People ignore the quest in the word question. I like questing. You ask the right questions, you'll come to some very, revealing answers, depending on the questions you ask, not even just the other people, but yourself. Like, for example, what runs my body if I'm not consciously running it? Those type of questions. Because it's not a simple answer, or your answer just don't come up. It takes you on the quest to find out. Do you get what I'm trying to say? It takes you on the quest to find out, rather than someone saying, "Ha, that's the answer." Because God, because Spirit, Allah, Buddha, the Risha. No, nigga, you asked me I'm asking myself the question: what runs my body if I'm not consciously running it? Now I go on the quest to find out. I go on the journey to trek. I go on the path to discovery of that. Instead of being robbed of that quest by someone just coming up with a short term, or just an answer for it. How do I know your answer is true? What is God? If you said God is the force behind your body when you are not consciously running it. He says, like the movie Tenet, the held belief or inquiry opens the door to knowledge. That's the questing I'm talking about. Yes, the questing. People ignore the quest in the word question. There's a reason why it's called a question, but they ignore the quest part. You know what I'm saying? They ignore the journey or the experiential learning. That's another term. The experiential learning involved in being asked the question. Because in that sense, why do I have to ask you for knowledge or information? I can ask myself and then go on the path. They want some sort of microwaved, short term, answer for the question they're asking instead of going on the quest. So, as an initiate, if you are part of a real so-called mystery initiate system, that's really the goal or the meat and potatoes of the actual initiation. You going on the experiential path of learning that, rather than me just doing a mouth to ear all the time of secreted information. Even with the secreted information that I'm giving to you, it's not really initiation if you're not gaining the experiential knowledge of questing. I quest in a disciplined manner because that's what I chose to do in this lifetime. This is my choice. He said, "Appreciate crossing paths." Hold on, I forgot to display y'all things on the screen. My bad. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about with this guy, Ricky Schiff. This is the questing. So even this discussion today is about a questing. Because now you're on the quest to discover why you made the choice. So now we go to the oracle in this same Matrix Reloaded, where she says, "You're not here to make the decision, Neo. You already made the choice. You're here to experience why. You're questing to discover why." Because I do when I'm just looking for stuff to watch on YouTube just to kill time. Like I discover these little video essays of these people that they think they're so philosophically advanced, and they kind of shit on these certain points that I'm making about. They think this movie is just superficial. It's like, no, they're putting in some real principles in here to actually contemplate. Regardless how you feel about the movie's plot or its special effects, who cares? I'm talking about what they chose to actually touch on. And for the sake of this conversation about willful compliance, you chose to comply to this thing. So now your complaints are not, unless of course, like I said, you chose to be a complaint. You chose to come here to be a plaintiff. You chose to come here to complain about the world and the people in it, or the things that happen in it. Why can't people be more friendly and brotherly and love one another? Why are we always killing each other? Why does this country kill that? Why are we always? You came here to complain, I guess. Because like I said in the beginning of this discussion, people they're just complaining. They're not doing anything about it. They're just here to complain. And then try to mask it behind, oh, I'm just starting up the discussion. Yeah, but your discussion didn't lead to any actions being taken except for, oh, we're just going to have a dialogue. The dialogue didn't spur them to any type of action to change the situation, did it? No, it didn't. It didn't change. But my whole point also is that why would I be upset about that? Why should I be angry about that? Why should I have some sort of gripe with people? I'm to the point, I don't even have a gripe with you for choosing slavery. But, I just want to see if, there's people out here who also that can benefit from me, pointing that out. Because sometimes, you're on a journey where you just need someone to point something out to you. And then from that point, you're soaring up. You just needed me to tell you go this way, or, I think you benefit if you go that way. And that's it. And then you go that way and you don't really need me for anything else. Except if you want to have a kinship with me in this information or this knowledge. You want to have a brother in gnosis, I'll be your brother in gnosis. Your Gnostic brother, I'll be that. It said they're surface locked and depthically blind. Yep. But it's a choice to be that. Like, think of even the word blind, like people that they can't see out of their eyes. Isn't that a choice too? Because you got blind people right now that they are, they're depressed because they can't see out of their eyes, or they have some sort of um problem with that. But you, deep down, you chose to be a blind person. Who you gonna blame for the fact that your physical eyes don't work? And then why are you also ignoring the blessing of your eyes not working? Why are you focused on the cons? What about the pros of your eyes not working? You know how many anime and TV shows and movies where, it's a blind guy or woman, but the rest of their senses are just off the charts. Like they have super hearing, like Daredevil and shit like that, or there's like the Zatoichi, you know what I'm saying? Like the blind swordsman. You don't have his eyes, but he can spiritually see everything. Why you got to focus on the downside to having no physical eyesight? You know what I mean? All your rest of your senses heightened. So it's your decision to focus and dwell on the negatives of not being able to see out of your physical eyes. Now that dark occult territory that I was talking about earlier, where once you go on this questing, you're going into the dark. The darkest part of existence is within yourself. It's not some black dark alley in New York, or in the basement when the lights go out. No, it's right there within yourself. I mean, it's in the basement most of the time because you put it there. But what about the basement that is, your shadow or your darker side of your being? What about that basement? I'm going to the basement. We going to the basement in this shit right here. You don't want to be in the basement. Stay your ass upstairs. So a lot of y'all niggas scared to go in the basement. You scared to go in your own basement. Especially on a rainy, dark night, and you there by yourself. You scared to go in the basement, ass nigga. But hey, I can make fun of you not being in that basement or trying to go in the basement. You know what I'm saying? Literally and figuratively, because we're talking more figuratively than literal. But again, I have to respect your choice. This is about me respecting your choice to be a slave. I'm respecting your choice for that you wanted to be a slave yet. Because, like I said, when I was trying to be a community organizer, it hurt my heart that people wanted to be slaves. I had it like an emotional reaction to people that look like me that want to be subjugated like that. So, part of my journey was you have to detach from that. You have to respect other people's choices in order to find some sort of, salvation or well, I'd say more consolation and and be at rest with that. This nigga's angry right now because their family still eats pork. They're angry at their family. So imagine coming here in incarnation after incarnation after incarnation to people that eat differently from you. And you're angry that people eat meat. You think that the problem with your community is that the way they eat. That's a trapping if you didn't know. But it's a trapping you chose to be trapped by. That's what I got to respect about you. Because I used to be in that point. You should be eating vegetables. You shouldn't be eating factory farm. You shouldn't be eating meat because it's you take on the emotions of the pig and the cow and the chicken when they was in the factory farm or when they was when they got shot in the head with that thing that what's it called? A cattle thing where they shoot it in your head. What's the movie? No Country for Old Men. Anton Chigurh, where he shoot that thing into your head, and you have an emotional. You want to have this emotional connection with the cattle. So when you see a big ass ribeye on my plate, it makes you like cry. A tear comes down. You know what I'm saying? It fucks you up inside, but that's by your choice. That's the point. You chose to be attached to the cow and their emotions, where you could have chosen not to be attached to the cow and the cow's emotions. Think about why you would even want to attach to it. You want to be natured, you know what I'm saying? Good nature. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to hurt a fly. But what if I wanted to hurt the fly? What if I wanted to catch the fly, nail the fly down to a board and slowly take its legs out? Like torture it, like pull its wings. Nasty bastard, right? But that's a preference of mine. Just like it's your preference to let the fly go free. You wouldn't kill a praying mantis for several reasons. What if I wanted to nail the damn thing down and pull out its eyeball? Because who am I offending? God, Allah, one of the Orishas, Asasaya, which is the feminine personification of the earth and the whole Akan Ghanaian cosmology, Asasaya. Because I can make that choice regardless of the consequence. So maybe a Sasaya would be like, oh, you killed one of my creatures and torture them, or I'm going to do something back to you. Okay. It's your decision. See, now it starts getting into scarier territory now, because now you're dealing with people who choose to do the nasty and vile and disgusting and evil things that we call evil. Like someone who victimized you, someone who assaulted you or abused you. or neglected or rejected you? Why did you choose to be in a situation where that could happen? Huh? It's rhetorical. You ain't got to answer it. But I'm asking you rhetorically. Why were you in a situation where that could happen to you? Why were you present? Because it's your tendency by choice that you will blame them for what they did to you. But you was there. You were there. Why were you present? Because when you start looking at it that way, it's like, well, now we start looking at agreements. So now this abuser and me being the abused, we agreed to be in this abusive situation. So now I'm no longer identifying as the victim anymore. This is a hard, look, it's a hard pill. You see the pills in his hand? It's a hard pill to swallow. But you got to get your throat muscles, pause. You got to get your throat muscles, you know what I'm saying? No gag reflexes. You got to swallow that pill. Pause. Hard pause. But you know what I'm trying to say? This is a hard pill to swallow. Think about it. There are people twice my age, elderly individuals right now, whether they're in a deathbed, they're up and active, or they're in some hospice or some hospital, that are still blaming people that did something to them 30 years ago, 40, 50, 60 years ago. Twice my age. I'm in my 30s. Twice my age. Still blaming people for what they did back in like 1950 or 40 or something like that. 1940s. So they're going to die attached to what them in this victim situation. So I would think, well, maybe since you're so attached to it, in your next life, if you believe in reincarnation, you're going to repeat that because you're so attached to it. And you've done nothing over the course of the 70 years of living to detach from it or to get a higher knowledge perspective of it so that you can detach to it and it doesn't, bring you down into samsara or the illusion or keep you on these cycles of time. Because if we were talking about slavery, right, you could be slaved to the cycles of time. You could be enslaved to the karma of samsara. Because when I talk about karma, people think is what goes around comes around. No, that's the smaller understanding of it. That's the lower understanding. The higher understanding of karma is that the world is karma. It's actions, it's physical actions in a cycle. Stay with me. We're on a Ferris wheel, right? We're on the loop. You know what I'm saying? You're on it, but you choose to be on it because you choose to attach what's on it. So how the fuck can you complain that you're on it unless you chose to complain while you're on it as well? So complaining about the world, you want to come here and complain about it. You're now attached to it. Think about all the shit you don't like about the world, all the things you hate, all the things that make you mad, make you sad, even make you happy. Because even in that's a misnomer of saying that because emotionally, you chose to react that way. Not only did you choose the event, but you chose to react to it the way that you wanted to react. So let's go back to some sort of childhood abuse, right? You got abused. Boo-hoo. You got abused. And it turned, and you now have a certain behavioral complex based on the abuse. Whose fault is that? And then you do it for several more lifetimes. Whose fault is it? My fault? Is it men's fault? Like you got women out here that want to be, they want to take down the patriarchy and shit. You know what I'm saying? Their enemy is any man in some position of power. Doesn't matter what it is. I didn't personally abuse you, but because I'm a man in some sort of high position or a position over you, or just in some position to make choices, like some executive decisions, I'm the enemy to them. Or even just having a penis, me just having a penis. I ain't got to be in no position to control you or make you this, make you do that. It's just the fact that I have a penis that I'm your enemy. That's choice. You chose that, sweetheart. And then also the behaviors because of that choice. Because you got to look into, like I said, your emotional reactions and your behaviors are all your design as well. You chose to react that way. So if you were abused by, a man or two or whoever, a dude or, what I'm saying, older brother, uncle, whoever, you now have a behavior pattern that, if you come around certain guys like that, you may act defensive a lot of the times. You may want to, like, try to subjugate them or try to control them, be manipulative of them, all to protect yourself because of this childhood trauma. Sweetheart, come closer to the camera or the screen. Come on, come here. I ain't gonna do nothing to you. I'm how can I do something to you? I'm all the way over here on my side. I can't come and get you. Come here, come here, come here. You chose to do that. I can't be responsible for anybody who makes their own decisions. You decided this. So go back to that slave on that plantation. Because I saw a lot of woke people, they didn't like when Kanye West said that, when he said slavery is a choice. They didn't like that. It ruffled feathers, it ruffled wings, it ruffled it ruffled a lot of motherfuckers when he said it. But let's go observe that slave. Let's do like a visualization, you know what I'm saying? Let's look at that slave from a third person view. They can run off this plantation whenever they want. They can devise a plan to sit here and take out, the slave master and the overseers, the runaway patrol that are now called the police today. You could have been a part of these plans. Nah, you chose to stick with the cotton, stick with the chitlins, stick with working sun up to sundown, run down clothes, run down shed that you was living in. You're choosing to do this stuff. Meanwhile, there's another, subjugated individual, but this subjugated individual is part of the underground thing. They have plans to escape. They have plans to kill any pale person in a way, or any black person that's trying to stop them as well. And that's what I'm saying. So you have the blue pill, where you stay on the plantation, you pick the cotton, you eat chitlins and guts and all the stuff that the slave master don't want to eat about the pig. You work your ass off. If you have a child, they'll sell it off to another plantation. That's the blue pill. Or you choose the red pill. You follow me into the woods. We start up a brigade where we go to different slave plantations and kill the slave master. Which pill? Which one do you want? Which pill do you want to swallow? Or let's go into the occult and say, well, I'm not going to take either pill because they both lead to the plantation. Is there another? There has to be another choice, right? Another selection. Why are you controlling my choices? Or better yet, why am I allowing you to control what I can decide? Because you only offer me two selections. What if there are more and you're not telling me? Or what if I can come up with a black pill, a white pill, a polka dot pill, a stripe pill, a pill with an eye on it, a clear pill, and there's different colors and stuff in it? Why would I just, subject myself just to two decisions out of the palm of your hand? Willful compliance. Willful compliance. The problem is choice. This is what he was telling this dude. Or even, a lot of people don't, they're confused as hell about what he was talking about. I mean, it took me a few viewings to kind of, back in the day to kind of, figure out what this nigga was saying. But he was basically telling you everybody attached to this matrix is here by design. They chose to be in this motherfucker. But let's not just sit here and talk about no matrix. Let's talk about today, right now, because that's a movie. This is, we're dealing with this 3D narrative right now, 4D, 3D, 4D, whatever you want to call it, space time continuum, where you have willful compliance from these people out here. Let them sleep. If you're on my level, let them sleep, because them sleeping has nothing to do or has no effect on you waking up. Because you got to think about it. Is your desire to be a part of a group greater than your desire to break free of this prison? It's just like if I went to prison right now and asked one of these Aryan Brotherhood members, you know what I'm saying? That, they believe in Adolf and Hitler, and they got the shaved heads and the swastikas and the, you know what I'm saying? The Aryan Brotherhood. I would ask one of them fellas. I say, "Hey man, hey white guy, you want to be a part of the Aryan Brotherhood in this prison? Or do you want to work towards getting out where you don't have to deal with none of this shit anymore? Which one you going to decide? Is your desire to be a part of some group of dudes, right? Is your desire greater than you wanting to liberate yourself? Or here, I'll ask one of you conscious dudes and dudettes. You know what I'm saying? Dudette is a feminine version of dude. Ask one of you dudes and dudettes out there. Do you want to be a part of liberating black people and, be a part of the group of y'all put on the shea butter and eat massage kale? You get rid of meat, you eat vegan and tofu. Um, what else y'all be doing? Because I used to do it. What else y'all be doing? You get on social media and you complain about Trump. Um, you want to be outraged every time a black person gets, killed by the police and they sensationalize it on the media. You want to be a part of that group, or do you want to liberate yourself, mentally, spiritually? Now, some of you be like, "Well, I'm here to do both." We'll do both. But from experience, I'll tell you that you can get wrapped up in these conscious political politics and ignore this more Gnostic, occult, um, true liberation of your soul. It could be a distraction because the humans desire an instinct to belong, aversion to loneliness. Because the path I walk is lonely. There is lonesomeness, it's solitude a lot of the times. But I get to decide if I have an aversion to that or if I accept it like it's a loved one. Embrace it like if this is a beloved of mine. That's a choice. Because you could be alone, but you despise it, like you hate it. You want to be around people. In some circumstances that you chose, have you where you're solitude. You're in solitude, you're alone. Like think about all the women that, right now or last night that was alone because they wanted to pursue like a college degree or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And they don't have a man in their life. And they act like, online and in public, they don't need a man. They want to be this independent. But once they get in that bed and there's no man there to hold them and caress them and give them dick and whatever, they use men for, he's not there in the bed with them. They're alone, but they chose to have an aversion to it. Whereas there could be some women that they're alone and they love the fact that they are. These are all decisions. These are preferences you can take on. These are all things you can choose for yourself. But to blame men for the reason why you're alone, that's where the absurdity comes in. Or blame the slave master for the reason that you're picking cotton, that's where the absurdity comes in. Or blaming the government for the reason that, you're disenfranchised in your community, that's where the absurdity kind of comes on in. That's where I start laughing and I start making the nasty jokes that I do on my social media. Because the problem, do I need to say the whole thing? It's right there on the screen. Because now, do I need to reach everybody now? Like with the stuff I talk about, do I need to reach every single Black person or every single conscious individual? No, I do not. Hey, maybe this video only gets 10 views. Because that would hurt someone's self-esteem that you sit up here and put this video out. Maybe you used to get like a few hundred views on your channel, but now it kind of dwindled down to like 10 or 20 views. That could hurt your self-esteem if you are so unnerved and so attached to validation from social media platforms. But it's a choice you make to choose the validation from it. You get to choose that. That's a choice. Just like all the abusive times you were abused, it was a choice. You have to, that's something that you got to face if you're on this path, but you got to choose this path. So this means nothing to you if you're watching this and you don't want to go on the path I'm on. You can disregard that. You can turn this shit off. But I'm telling you, for those that want to be on this path, that's something you're going to come across, or something that you have to face. You chose the abuse situation. You chose what type of abuse. You chose the abuser. You chose how many times you were going to be abused. You chose when you were going to ever confront your abuser. You chose whether you're going to get help from the abuse or not. You choose this stuff. Because going back to the word, this was a preference. So why would you prefer to be abused? That's now a new question. You got a quest on that now. You got to figure out, why would I want to be abused as a kid? What purpose does that serve? Why? Who would want that? Because based on how many people are abused, it's like, well, at one point you got to be like, well, why do you prefer that? I'm starting to believe, and it started to reveal its truth that you wanted that. It sounds crazy on the surface because it's like you're victims or you're dealing with victims. So it's like, well, why would I choose this? I've gotten those reactions when I tell these things to people. That's how you know they're not ready for this journey in particular. They're not ready for that. You can tell by their reaction that they're not ready. You can tell. All the deception online, like I've also put in this description of this video how they're the new social control is put out to make it look like it's actual social justice, but it's not. It's a fake revolution. Don't you understand that opposition can be controlled? They create your heroes and your villains. It looks like it's opposing the system, but the system actually put it there to be a source of opposition and let people follow that opposition while that opposition is being controlled by the system. Yeah. It looks revolutionary. It looks like it's anti government. It sounds like it is, but that's the controlled opposition. You've heard about false flags, right? Where you create a group to make it look like it's an enemy to public good or, it's an enemy to society. They created that. And it's there to make sure that you don't come up with your own type of opposition. They control the opposition so that they manage you wanting to be a dissenter or, say a rebel or a revolutionary. They get to, guide you in your revolutionariness because the real threat is you being revolutionary in your own, design. That's really the threat of this shit. But like I said, you get to choose to be a revolutionary too. Because you can just quietly, what's that whole phenomena of quietly quitting your job? Like, is it quiet quitting or something like that? Because then the company can quietly fire you. It's a quiet quitting. I don't have to sit here and bring nothing down. I don't have to be an enemy of this shit. Because none of this stuff has anything to do with keeping me from doing my discipline that I do. So even if society collapsed tonight, how would that stop me from doing my discipline? Based on what I know so far, this thing out here can collapse, and I still be good doing my daily regimen. So I don't care if it's up or if it's down. So someone asks here, what's the proof of we made a choice? Well, this I don't. You must have just came into this video. I don't know when, because I think I'm sure that I proved it in the past hour and 20 minutes, but let's reiterate some points. The fact that you can't blame anybody for the choice you made because you made it. Who can you blame for a choice you made? You decided. If you decided, who do you blame that you decided? Because of course you can say, well, they influenced me or they gave me. Well, again, you decided. You decided to be persuaded. You decided to fear some consequence that they said they were going to do or going to put in your face if you didn't make that certain decision. You don't have to fear the consequences. You can choose to fear the consequence. Now they say, I'm gonna shoot you in your temple right now if you don't open this safe. You can choose not to open it. Because the person, again, with the firearm to your head still doesn't make your decision. You make it. And when it comes to the kernel work that I'm talking about, if you want more proof of choice, again, tell me who chose the circumstances that you came in, that you was born into. Who or what said that this is going to be your circumstances at birth? This is going to be your mother, your father, your grandmother, your uncle, your brother. Y'all going to be here in New York. Y'all going to be here in China. Y'all going to be here in some base in Antarctica. You was born there. There's people that's born in Antarctica. What's deciding that? And again, I don't want to sit here and give you some answer other than it was you, and then you go on the quest to find out how and why it was you. Because then we also have to decide, well, when I say you, who are we talking about? The physical body or some other higher entity parading around as a physical body, thinking it's a human identity, lost in its own persona or ego? Then we can also get into those subjects. And the thing where I talk about true education, where, these events have been chosen because there are things in you that, are unleashed because of that situation. So perhaps you chose slavery because you are in yourself subservient. You have a subservient behavior complex. To use some terminology from psychology, it's a complex behavior where you have to have a situation where you're being told what to do. That's a part of your makeup. That's a part of your being. So now you subliminally or subconsciously, if you want to use that term, choose the events where you can be subservient. Because it stems from the understanding that you have all these different behavioral complexes within you called schemas, and these schemas need to act and express themselves through you. So, for example, if you have this schema of being afraid or of fear, then you're going to seek out situations where you can be afraid. Or if you're violent, you like seeking out situations where or circumstances where you can be violent. So, with that being said, it ultimately culminates into you choosing who you are going to be, because who you are determines what you go through. That's why we're never lost on why things happen. Or at least I'm not. I'm not going to say that for you because I don't know that about you yet. Me, what I found out is that everything that happened to me is because of who I chose to be. And my path that I discovered is that I am discovering slowly but surely who I chose to be through these events. I am steadily discovering who I chose to be. That's why I chose to take the ultimate responsibility to not only know this, not only experience this, but also share it with you or whoever decided to watch. So when you ask, what's the proof we made a choice? Well, what's the proof that you didn't make the choice? Because I can equally, let's put that question back up. If you're asking, what's the proof we made the choice? I can equally ask the question, what is the proof we didn't make the choice? So you test me, now I test you in return. But that's really all I wanted to say here. We already at the 90-minute mark. So, you know what I'm saying? I usually kind of cut this off a little earlier. But that's my question to y'all based on what this guy asked. What's the proof you didn't? You know what I'm saying? What's the proof that you are not the decision maker? Because if you're talking about self-deification, now some of y'all may know this side of the occult, some of you may not, where it's about how you want to deify yourself. You want to go on a path of self-deification, apotheosis, right? How are you going to be that deity or that God and you're not responsible for the decisions you make? Because I would think that if we're on the level of God tier individuals, they make their own decisions. They don't. This isn't about someone making a decision for you. The positions have been noticed and they change. No one decides for me. I decide for myself. That's a key component to some self deification and apotheosis. I would think. Why would I want to be a deity and I'm not in control of the decisions I make for myself? You're not a deity at that. You're not deity level. Because even right now, after you watch this video and something happens in your life, whether it's tragic, whether it's beneficial to you, whether it's neutral, it don't matter. Who put that in place? Some other humans? Some deity? Like who made that? Who scheduled that for you? And where's the proof that you didn't schedule that for yourself? Where's the proof? Because a lot of people have not realized yet. It's, what I'm saying, most the entire population of humans you can, observe, they have not faced that about themselves yet, that they have decided this lifetime for themselves. They're still in denial. They think it's some other that decided this for them. And that's a choice that they chose to think that way. And you can tell in their behavior, the things they want to do in life, the things that they talk about, when you see them or when you see the Instagram or social media page. Come on, you're proving to me that you chose to play the victim here. And I'm proving to you that I chose to be the victim. That I'm choosing ultimate responsibility for everything that happens to me, whether it's the past, present, future time. So preference, taste, choice, just like how you choose your favorite ice cream or your favorite cookie, your favorite car. What about your favorite experience? You say you want to be a millionaire, but you didn't become that yet. Why not? Maybe being a millionaire isn't your favorite experience. Maybe observing millionaire activity is your favorite experience. Maybe you favor being impoverished while desiring to be wealthy is your favorite experience. You like the dream of it. You don't like the reality of it. Because why didn't you choose it so it could happen? And not to say that not in future time you won't become a millionaire. It's just that, look at your life from a bird's eye view or God's eye, or just the point of the view of the stars, if you want to use that as a viewpoint. From the time you come out the womb to the time you get in the tomb, what does your life event say about the decision you made to live it? So I hope you are, I wouldn't say that you have to, but pay more attention to the quest in the word question. That's all. This is Al Achad, man. Holography page. If you decide to, I have books for sale, ebooks. You know what I'm saying? My book, Holography. You know what I'm saying? That's still up there for sale. Consultation, courses, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm a full-on damn near professor now. So this is Al Achad. Willful compliance. Y'all chose slavery or you choose not to do it. That's a choice. So now I'm choosing to end this because I could have ended this 30 minutes. So you gotta pay attention to what you be doing out here. Know thyself, right?